Hi, I'm going to borrow Dan Siegel's hand-brain model just to explain to you about stress in the brain. So if we just take our hand as such, put the thumb across the palm of your hand, fold your forefingers over and just bend your wrist slightly. There we have a brain. Now I'm sure your brain's much bigger than your fist, but it'll do for the purpose of this explanation. The four fingers here represent your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain we call the smart brain. Now it runs behind your forehead and down behind the back of your eyes. If we lift this up, we're looking at the limbic region now, which is the reactive part of your brain. In here's that fight, flight, freeze region. There's quite a few little characters in there. My favorite is the amygdala, and I call the amygdala the CEO of all emotional content. But there's a couple others I'll talk about in a minute. And just around this wrist area there, that's the primitive brain, or the automatic function part of your brain. Now, when you're stressed, you'll get the stress from outside sources, or sometimes it's inside, it's how you're feeling emotionally. But when you're stressed, it is like you've flipped your lid. And rather than operating from this smart region of your brain, you're actually operating from this reactive, impulsive region of your brain. And what happens with these little characters is, there's a little guy in there called the hypothalamus. It's like the general manager of your organization. Knows a lot about the company, but not all about the people who are down the floor working really hard. There's the pituitary, and that's like your frontline manager, knows everyone on the factory floor. The general manager sends a message to the frontline manager, who sends a message way down here to two little glands that sit on top of your kidneys called the adrenals. So when you have a stress test, you've probably had your HPA axis measured, and they're measuring the rate of your hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenals. This becomes what I call a brain-body stress loop. And that stress loop means that these little adrenals are going to work so fast, producing cortisol, give you brain fog, can't think, producing adrenaline, makes your heart and your lungs and everything race so much faster. And there's something else that goes on too. That's the brain-body stress loop. But there's also a neural loop that goes on. Remember that little guy I said, the CEO of all emotional content, residing really nicely here in the limbic region? CEO of negativity in this case sends a message through those neural pathways of your brain up to the right prefrontal cortex, which is reasonably creative. Now, when you combine creativity with negativity, you get catastrophe. That's what happens when we're stressed. So remember, when we're stressed, we flipped our lid. We need to engage our whole of brain to calm down those adrenal glands and get us functioning back to normal, to down-regulate our brain so that when we're not catastrophizing or with ruminating thoughts that are running round and round and round. Gee, I hope that explanation explains for you today a little bit more about the brain-body function in relation to stress.